Welcome to another episode here. Um, Fellow Grow Givers, look, I want to talk about this conversation I had yesterday with one of my business partners that was very disconcerting to me. But I'm glad we had the conversation. What we talked about was the idea of going full time as an entrepreneur. The bottom line is, person lost their job and they were thinking about just getting involved in their business and just burning the bridges and getting to work, right? And look, you all know I love entrepreneurship. I believe it's empowerment. I just firmly believe that it is tough to make decisions, good kitchen table decisions when you're not, um, when you are not certain that that job is going to be there, right? When you feel like you're in a situation where you're going to need financial duress, you're just not clear headed, right? And of course, we know it's the entrepreneurs that eventually grow and scale that become opportunity providers that ultimately determine the quality of life in most communities, right? They determine that the grass gets cut up, whether or not the grass gets cut, whether or not the trash gets picked up, whether or not there's a rec center or whether or not there is a school on your block, right? It's predominantly the entrepreneurs and the employers in particular. So I always want to see individuals go full time in entrepreneurship. I think it's a beautiful thing. But I also didn't want to see this person crash out. I did not want that on my conscience. I'm not going to tell someone to do something when I don't think they're ready. And the bottom line is, before you get involved in full time entrepreneurship, I want to give you a framework, right? Because this person asked me repeatedly during that same conversation, what are people doing that I'm not doing? Because he's seen other individuals start businesses, particularly in the industry I work in within the B2B space, start businesses and like literally fly past them, right? He's been playing around with entrepreneurship, and you don't play entrepreneurship, right? You play football, you play basketball, you play a lot of different things. You don't, just like you don't play boxing, you don't play entrepreneurship. That's what he's been doing. He's been messing around with it. Part time, spare time, earning a little bit of money here and there, but never really engaging on a consistent basis. And I kind of gave it away, right? The reason why he wasn't having success. But the bottom line is he told me repeatedly that he was growing tired of seeing other people jumping on conference calls, meeting people who had been involved in a business 2 months as an entrepreneur, 2 years, 10 years, whatever amount of time. He just knows that there is a marked difference in the level of success they're having and the success he's enjoyed this far. And then the question I posed him is, why do you think that's so? Why do you think that's so? And this is when I knew he wasn't ready for full-time entrepreneurship. Because what I told him was this: look, most entrepreneurs I've met in my 20 years of being in the financial services industry and being in the B2B space, and um, probably meeting on average 10 business owners per week for approximately 20 years. That's a lot of people, right? It's a lot of business owners. And then what I can tell you is that most of them are not remarkable. Most of them are not exceptionally intelligent or exceptionally talented. There's very little that's exceptional about them, but one thing. And that one thing is their habits. And I asked him, look, if you understand that these people are not more educated than you, that a lot of these individuals are not exceptionally more talented than you, if a lot of these individuals don't have a above bar and IQs and all this other fun stuff, what can the difference be? And the more he struggled with it, the more I became convinced you're not ready to do full time. You need to acquire another job and do this part time, because what you don't seem to understand or what you're missing is the effort. Entrepreneurship requires effort. And yeah, we talk about sharpening the saw a lot, right? We've all heard the axiom that if you need to chop down a tree, you spend 3 hours sharpening the saw and you spend 1 hour chopping the tree. And I learned that early on before I even heard people saying that. Where I was raised with my grandparents, and they had trees in the backyard and axes because they were from the South. And I remember taking that axe to a tree a couple times, and it was a dull axe. And then I learned that lesson the hard way. That look, you mess around and try to knock down a tree to dull axe, and that axe rebounds off that tree towards you. I'm just thankful I never maimed myself and I made that error in judgment a couple times, right? Well, entrepreneurship is the exact same way. Yeah, you have to spend time training. You have to spend time pouring into yourself. You have to spend time reading the books, listening to the audios, going to the workshops, learning the skills, all these different things to be successful as an entrepreneur. But don't forget about the chopping the tree part, right? The bottom line is most of the entrepreneurs who achieve success, they achieve that success because they also tend to have work ethics that are above and beyond the average Joe. And the difference between the success that this gentleman I was talking to is having and what other people are having was the effort, right? So I'm going to put this in perspective. As we continue to have the conversation, I found out he'd been laid off for a couple days, and it was he indicated. I asked him what he been doing for the day. He said it's 8 a.m. He started his day at 8 a.m. Had breakfast, and I said, "What you been doing for the last 3 hours?" And we were talking about 11, 12 o'clock, and he's like, "I was waiting for an interview, and I was waiting for this and waiting for that." And I said, "See, once again, that's something the successful entrepreneurs don't do. We don't wait, right? We're alchemists. We're creators. You don't have time to wait. You have to get up and you have to create opportunities. You don't sit back and just let stuff happen to you." And I said, "What do you think I've been doing?" Right? Because I had a lot of moving parts, a lot of different things that took place yesterday. And I had a 2 hour window where, quite frankly, most people would have just sat down, read a book, chillaxed. Nothing wrong with reading books, but you're about to get to my point. I said, "What do you think I've been doing for the last 2 hours?" From around 8 to 11 o'clock. Um, well, more accurately, from 9 until about 11 o'clock. And he says, "I'm not sure." I said, "Well, I made 50 outreach attempts. I probably sent about, I don't know, 15, 20 text messages. Reached out to a couple people via social media, and I picked up the phone and probably called another 20, 30 people during that window of time." He was like, "Wow." I said, "Bro, here's the thing. You're messing around and you are contacting one person, maybe two people a day. That's a win for you. And that is a victory. That's a win, no doubt." Because most people who decide they want to be entrepreneurs, they're not even doing that. They're just entrepreneurs in their mind, but they're not doing the work, right? Um, I said, "Look, here's the thing. Once again, what's the separation, right?" I told him it will probably take you a year to create the type of momentum and the type of success and the type of activity. It will take you a year to duplicate what many of us are doing in a week to 2 weeks. And many of us are doing it in a week to 2 weeks part time and having success as entrepreneurs. And I said, that's the biggest difference. Stop looking for the secret sauce. Stop looking for the secret script. Stop looking for the secret tactic. Stop looking for the secret strategy. Stop paying attention to this nonsense on social media where if somehow you can just buy a business in a box, or somehow if you just do these 4 or 5 things, it's going to work out for you, right? That one size fits all. Stop it. Okay, the reality of the matter is it's going to require work. It's going to require a grind. And it doesn't require entrepreneurship for most people doesn't require 20, 30, 40 hours a week of grind. Give me an entrepreneur who gets it in 5, 10 hours a week intensely, intentionally, with focus and enthusiasm, and they'll destroy an entrepreneur that's building 20, 30 hours a week. But the bottom line is it requires a certain type of focus and grind. And once again, I'm not going to have you crash out on my watch. You're not going to come to me for advice and guidance. And the advice and guidance I give you results in you not being able to take care of yourself, take care of responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And so that was on my heart because I see a lot of, I've had this conversation at least 5, 6 different times this week. And I guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, let me go ahead and address this. Right. Because look, I understand that there's a lot of consternation, what's going on with the economy. I, quite frankly, I'm very confident. Up economy, down economy. Maybe because I came through 2000 and 2008 and learned the lessons, right? But what I will share with you is money does not disappear; it changes hands. But you need to have the work ethic, the requisite skill set. If you don't have it, pay for it, acquire it, do whatever it is you have to do. But it starts with that work ethic. It starts with the willingness to be able to get out there, get it in, iterate, improve your skills, right? As you're iterating and making the necessary adjustments and curating a story and an approach that works best for you. You can't do it just from reading a book and just from going to training. You have to get out there and do the work. And 9 times out of 10, if an entrepreneur is not having the success that they believe they should be having, I'm telling you right now, it is the work ethic. Believe that's what it is. I promise you. They're just working harder than you. Don't believe the hype. Like people say that, the most successful entrepreneurs don't work hard. No, yes, they do. They just work different, but it's still work and they're grinding. Okay. Um, you know, Winning as an entrepreneur is not that hard. After you weed out the people who are lazy and don't want to do the things that are required, there's not a lot of people left. Once you weed out the people who are not willing to learn, they're allergic to education, they're allergic to books, they're allergic to it, right? Once you weed those people out, the pool gets a lot smaller. And then once you weed out the people who just aren't moving in a consistent way, right? When I talk about integrity, I'm not talking about morals. I'm just talking about integrity to their movements, where people at least know what box they're coming out of. They know what the value prop is. They've seen evidence that a person is putting in the time, right, to become effective at something. Once you weed those people out, it's not a lot of people left, and that should excite you, because then that means that entrepreneurship and success is far more accessible to you than you probably believe, and going full time is probably more accessible, right? So that being said, as always, I celebrate success in advance. Everybody have a fantastic day. Get out there and crush it.